Hey everybody, and welcome to another JASP video. In this video, we are going to highlight two important things that I think are useful to talk about. So before we jump into here, I just want to share with you that as of the 6th of September, 0.18.0 was released by the devs at JASP, just another statistics program. And in this video, we are going to talk about the amazing new feature of data editing. Look at that. Whee! Data editing. Oh, this has been a long time coming, folks. Data editing. In my previous JASP versus Jamovi videos, my 2020 video and my 2021 update comparison videos on this channel, if you want to go see which ones are better, they've changed since then. But really, for me as an educator and trying to choose which one to use in my classes, I always would go toward Jamovi because of the data editing. But now JASP is a viable option as a full suite statistics program. I mean, it has come up to Jamovi's level, and it is now a full functioning, in my opinion, a full functioning replacement for the major leader in statistics programs, which is SPSS. It is now a real good replacement for it because of this new feature, data editing. So in this video, we're going to go through data editing. And in a separate video, I just want to talk about a new update from the previous, which was July release of 0.17.3, which is now the, what was it? It was the, scrolling all over the place here. Result screen is now translatable. I've spoken about the languages before, and I know a lot of viewers on my channel are from other countries like Latin and other continents, really, like Latin America, out in Southeast Asia or South Asia, as well, like East Asia, and then some people from Africa as well. So, I mean, a lot of great updating going on to make JASP the world statistics program. So that is going to be in a video coming out next week or the week after, depending on when you're watching this video. It might also be out already. So if you're watching this as new and premiere, then expect to see that one, but I'll also have a video on that one. Okay, so let's pull this over. Now we've got JASP 0.18 right now, and I'm on a Mac, but an old Mac Intel. Sometimes you'll see videos where this will say Apple Silicon maybe, because I have an M2 MacBook Pro. This I'm doing at home on my desktop. So this is the last Intel Mac I will likely have. But let's talk about the data editing. So data editing is in its new place right here. It says new data. And that's because I just opened the app. Now, let me open a data file and I'll show you what it looks like with data already open. So we've got new data here. So I'm gonna go up to the hamburger menu and I'm gonna open up some data. I'm just gonna open up let's just open up the bugs CSV. It's gonna open up in a new window, I believe. Nope, same window. I'll open up a new one. Let's open, oh, that doesn't have a new. In any case, okay, so now that I've opened up the bug CSV, which is a basic CSV file that you can get with installing JASP, now instead of new data, we have edit data right here. So here's the data file, but if I click on edit data, it'll say change to data editing mode down there. You just gotta see it quickly. And if I go back up here to analyses, it'll bring up the analyses bar again, and you can scroll depending on how many of the modules you have checked from the modules menu. You can see that I have a lot of modules installed. Okay, there are some new modules. I'm not going to go over some of the new modules because I don't have the time, unfortunately, and B, I do not have the requisite knowledge for those. So depending on your bar here, but let's go back to edit data. That's what we're here for. And every time you click on it, it says now in data editing mode, because not a lot changes. I can grab this and I can move it around, but when I go into data here, I don't move it around anymore. Okay, so I have all of my spreadsheets here, my cells here. I have my cells, and I can now make some changes in them. You can see a cursor comes up. I also have empty columns to create computed variables. I can add in like full on imputing new variables themselves. But before we jump into actually editing some of these things, I want to bring up synchronization. This is pulling in how JASP worked previously. So how JASP worked previously is you needed to have a CSV file on your computer, on the local machine that JASP could talk to. In this case, this is bugs.csv, okay? And if you wanted to make changes to the file, you had to go to your CSV handler spreadsheet program, whether that was Excel, Sheets, or Numbers, for example. Whatever you were working with. Most of the people I think were working with Excel in their CSV files. So you had to make a change there, and when you made a change in that CSV file and you had JASP open, it would reflect the change as long as you hit save, it would reflect the change. So you don't need to do that now because we've got the editing capabilities here. But the synchronization is really interesting. You can open data file with default spreadsheet editor. So if I click on that, what it's going to do is it should be opening my Excel. Yeah, there we go. Good old verification of the app updated because it's something or other. You can see my beach ball surrounded here, and here it is. Okay, and of course it's telling, hey, you've got a CSV file, so it's not as cool as an XLSX format, and so if I made a change here, it would reflect over here. So that's how it normally worked, but you had to do the change and editing in your editing editor, your spreadsheet editor. But the other option here is you can turn external data synchronization off. So if you wanted to make a drastic change and you're like, I don't want to mess with my raw data, I just want to make some changes in my editor or in the statistics program, and you're not going to make a change in the other one or vice versa. So if you wanted to play around with stuff in JASP, or you wanted to compute stuff in JASP and not save that in the CSV over here, right? You can turn external data synchronization off, okay? So that's how you can do that. Now, one thing is certain. If I make a change here, okay, I'm going to delete 9 and I'm going to put in 10, okay? If I do that, and I don't have anything selected by making a change in bugs.csv, then what this is going to show here is the asterisk to identify that this is unsaved and synchronization is going to be turned off. Now, if I click on that, as you can see, it's not synchronized. And so what JASP will ask, you got 3 options here. JASP has an associated data file, but you edited it. Would you like to reload from the associated data, start over is really what that means, or generate a new data file? So you can cancel this and just keep playing around with changes. Synchronization will still remain with a red line / through it. You can reload the data file, and what that'll do is it'll change my 10 here to a 9. Or you can generate a new data file. Now I'm going to click on generate. Let's reload the data file. And so it changed my 9. Okay, so that's obviously what it did. Now I'm going to change that, and you can see here that the synchronization is back on. But I'm going to change it to 10 again. I'm just going to tab away, so it keeps it at 10. And then I'm going to click on synchronization again, and we're going to create a new data file. We're going to generate a data file, and it's just going to bring up the original or your system file viewer here to change the name. Now, if I changed it as bugs.csv, which I'm about to do, it's probably going to say you're going to need to replace it. I'm going to say no to that. So let's hit save, sync dataset, and there you go. It changed it back to 9. Oops. Well, that's the thing about synchronization. Synchronization is going to protect your CSV file, because if you mess with stuff in JASP, it wants to make sure that you're not going to mess anything up. So in order to generate a new file, again, I'm going to change this one to 10 because that's what we're playing with. I'm going to change that to 10, and synchronization is off. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to bring up this spreadsheet editor where that would generate the data file. So because if I click on here, it's going to bring up generate data file as CSV. I can name this whatever I want. Test. Okay. Oops, test. Okay. And just save it to, let's just save it to my downloads. Okay. And I'm going to click save. And here it brings up sync dataset, and it generated a new file. And look in this. Okay. New file. This is the 10. This is the 10 spot right here. That is 9 in, oh, nope, it's 10. Interesting. It modified it. Okay. That seems like incorrect behavior for synchronization. So my new file, yes, should be that. This should not, unless synchronization is working. Okay. I've been playing around with this for a little bit. And I think it's interesting that it's not, doesn't really tell you what you should do. So I'm going to hit generate data file. That's bugs. So it's syncing, and now bugs will come back and it's still 10 and not 9. That is very strange. I wonder if test and bugs are linked. I'm curious now. So just be mindful of that. Look, it went back to 10 again. Okay, oops, that's 19. 9, synchronization, reload. It went back to 10, yeah. Oh, wow, okay. So if I bring in 9, you can see that, I'm not a dev and I'm just a user trying to share with you guys what's going on. So I saved that now, okay? So I saved it, and synchronization should change that back to 10. So that's turning it off, and that's turning it back on. And bugs is still 9, okay? Come on now. I wonder if it takes time, or if this is now linked to test. Interesting. So if I change that to 9, something wicked this way comes. It changed it back to 10. Both of my spreadsheets have that as 9. Interesting. Synchronization is on. Open data file. Yep, it opened to test and not bugs. Interesting. Okay, that's something to note. Now, there is no going back, which is slightly frustrating. Synchronization should be on. Let's hit save on test. Okay, yep, it is now associated with test. So this is something for the developers if they watch my channel, or if somebody wants to say something on the JASP forums, is that I don't think this is appropriate behavior. And if it is appropriate behavior, I would suggest the name up here changing. That this name is really critical, because now this data file is associated with test.csv, and I don't have an indication that that is what this file is here. Now, I wonder if you can actually do that. I'm not an app developer, so I don't know. So just be aware of that. When you make changes by going to synchronization, or when it's not synchronized and you want to generate a new file, you are now working with that new file. Interesting. That is not something that had come up in my testing, but we're doing a video here, and we're going to explore all of the features. Why not, right? All right, so we're working with test, and so we'll move on from there. This 9 is the original high D, high F value for case number 3, so we're fine, subject number 3. There is an undo and redo button. I think these are pretty standard, and don't forget we have our alt keys available, so, you know, I could do M4, let's say, M4, and it opens up insert, right? So remember those on the alt keys, we have that. Okay. So now, depending on where your cursor is, right? So I'm just gonna put it there. We can insert a column before, a column after. We can insert a column after, right? And for some reason, I have there is no data value here as my missing value from the last time I used JASP. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, but just go with me on that one, okay? So we can insert columns and we can insert rows. Of course, columns are going to be variables and rows are going to be cases. We can also impute columns or input computed columns either through point and click, which I have videos about how you can do that, through pretty much standard function-based computations that are, as I said, standard from all different kinds of programs. It's the old programming way of doing it. But you can also do R code, and I think this is really fun. So I'm going to do insert column after, and what it's going to do here, you're going to see this pop up waiting for the computation. And so you click here, as you can see, the tooltip says, click here to change selected variables. So you open it up here and you enter in your R code. So again, JASP and Jamovi have a really strong history of integrating R teaching of the R programming language, statistical language, as a means of showing what's happening under the hood, right? And teaching programming at the same time, which is a valuable skill. So in both cases, both computed columns using the standard functions and R right here. I'm not going to pull any R code to do any computation. So, but I just wanted to show you, I don't use R very often, but you can also pull up the documentation, adding a computed column. Okay, so this is little GIFs added here, and then it's going to ask you if you want to add a compute. So this is the old way of computing a column. Okay, or you can use R. Computing new data using R is quite straightforward. You can use many standard functions and can refer to columns through name. Multiplying a scalar or height ratio by some fixed value. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a new variable. It's called scale, and then you're going to take your variable named height ratio and multiply it with the asterisk. By 180. Or you can do division, or you can use the concatenate function. Sorry, there you go, concatenate, which is cut height ratio 3 and then concatenate height ratio with 3 levels of short, average, and tall. So that's what the concatenate is going to do. Of course, there are many possibilities. You're only limited by the availability of safe functions in JASP. Okay, so just be aware that if you're using R code here, that you got to make sure that it's something that JASP can do, basically. Should you miss something that then, okay, oh boy, we got a then, THEN. Don't hesitate to contact us when we add it to the next version. And then the drop and drag is fairly simple. So this is the new one, and this is how you work it. Again, I'm not going to go through this. I have a video on it, and I did just what they're showing you in these GIFs here. And that's how you do insert through the computed column. So if I do insert column here, again, this icon here is telling you that it needs to be done. Okay, it needs to be computed. And so then you just drag and drop all of these. I need to find the z-score of gender. Whee! Oops, didn't go in there. I can't find the z-scores of gender. That's right. But I can find the z-scores of that. The red and the yellow boxes. It's really cool how it does this. And of course, you can trash it if you're not ready. I really do like this interface. I might end up updating my how to compute variables in JASP videos, because this is kind of fun as part of the data editor, but also a function that it could do, because there was that plus button that you saw previously. If I go to analyses, there's a plus button here, and you can do the same thing. Create computed column, name, variable, close that. But if I go back to edit data, I just want to point out one more thing. If I double click on that, we can change the name here, but we can also have a long name for it, which I think is pretty cool. And then you can add a description for this data, and that could show up in your results. So that is that. Okay, so no, I'm going to discard that. I'm also going to discard these variables. Right click menu. Pretty good. I mean, we can have an undo, redo. We can have cut, copy, paste, right? We can clear a set of cells. We can select all of the cells, and then we can do the insert before and after, or delete, which is the remove up here. I'll show that in a second. So that's the right, but I'm going to do it through these new menus. So I'm going to hold command, and I'm going to, command, does shift work? Shift works, not command. And I'm going to go to remove, and I'm going to delete columns, and I'm going to hit apply. Ooh, apply. He broke it. JASP quit unexpectedly. I'm going to reopen it because videos. Okay, so there was a little bit bug there with deleting, so be aware of that. Maybe delete one at a time. Oh boy. All right, here we go. Let's open up bugs again. It's back to 9 right there. Okay, very good. And option to maximize it. There we go. Option off. All right, here we go. We're back again. So just be aware that you're doing messing around with editing data. It's a new module. Of course, JASP itself is still in beta, so be aware of removing, but that's how you remove stuff. So those are the features so far. I'm sure it's going to get better. So keep noting when you find bugs. So we found in a case where the title of the JASP window does not reflect the data file, the CSV that is being used for the data. So that was bug number one. Bugs. So that was bug number one. I mean, as long as you have the data window open, I think synchronization, it will work for you. But, if you want to make data, there you go. And two, the remove columns either might be a me problem or it might be a bug problem. I probably have to, I'm not going to show another crash on this video, but I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that that might be a possibility. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to open a new data file. So I'm going to close bugs here. Okay, so new data file. When you hit close with the data file open, it'll take you back to a fresh JASP. So I'm going to click on new data. And by default, it gives you 3 columns. That is data and 10 cases. Of course, I could go up here and I could click, or I could right click and hit select all. And then I could remove all of these cells. But of course, there is no data value here. There is no data value here is going to be the my missing values thing. I'm going to have to change. You know what? We're going to change it back right now. I have no desire for my missing value, show missing values as there's no data value here. No, I'm good. I'm delete. Okay. I'm glad that I've done that now because now I have a completely blank document here. Okay. So what I need to do if I want to make a new variable, let's do this. Oops, that's, geez, making moves here. Oops, 8 and 9 and 10. Okay. And I'm going to call this one subject. So you double click on that. That's going to be subject. And then that auto populates over there. Okay. In description. This was the subject ID. Cool. Okay. Then I can close that by hitting, not enter there, enter on one of these, or I can click the close button and it will save it. Now, subject isn't a scale variable. So you have to left click on that to change what it is. And we're going to change it to nominal. I wish just like Jamovi, there was a ID tag. So you never forget to not put it into an analysis, because I know sometimes students will just like select everything and it will all go in and then their analyses look weird in like a correlation or whatever because the subject variable is in there and it's just increasing by 1 every time. And so putting it as a nominal variable is the least big of an issue. But if there was just an ID tag for this, so let's do that. Developers, let's do that. Let's say 67, 87. These are going to be like my test scores. Ooh, somebody did really bad. 79, 88. Oops, 79, 88, and then 91. How about that? Right, so some people didn't do well. There's a 12 here, a 33, and a 44. Ooh, rough. A 67. Runs the gamut. So we're gonna call that. Double click on it. We're gonna call that test score or terst score, if you will. Okay. That will update here, but we can change the long name. Student test score. Student statistics test score is the long name. Okay. You can see here that test score remains the variable name, but the long name here is there. And again, the long name appears in your results. And then column 3, I think we're going to do GPA. So 3.99. Let's do 4. No, I did 3.99, didn't I? 3.30, 2.12. Let's do 3.6, whatever. 2.80, 1.9. Ooh, they got a 97 though. Pretty cool. 3.75, 3.87, 2.76. And then this one is going to be a 3.2. Why not? I don't know. Let's put zeros for the rest of these. Alrighty. Oh, it actually got rid of the zeros. I didn't realize it was doing that. Okay, so these are both going to be scale variables. And when you click on that, you can see that scale, ordinal, nominal. So interval and ratio. So we have the variable box open already. This one's going to be GPA, and we're just going to do GPA there. Everyone knows what that is. Click here to close it. Okay, so now we have this. And of course, it's not a data file. So the synchronization here really works because it will generate a CSV for you. So of course, in this case, we did a new file. So instead of an old file, it comes up with find data file, which they won't find anything because we don't have anything, right? So JASP started without an associated data file, a CSV, SAV, or ODS file. But to edit the data, JASP starts a spreadsheet editor based on this file and synchronizes the data when the file is saved. Does this data file exist already, or do you want to generate it? So does it exist already, or did I do extra work? Why would I have done extra work? Or do I want to generate a data file? So we generate. And it's going to come up here, and it's going to, by default, say JASP every single time. When I did it before, I was like, oh, JASP. Okay, I'll save it as JASP. And then I did it again, and it was JASP. And then I did it again, and it was JASP. So JASP comes up. Let's call this test 2. Why not? And then we hit save, and it will generate the data file by exporting it. And let's see, does it? Don't remember. No, it does not open. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it opened it or not. It does not open the data file. Oh, shoot, I don't even know where I saved it now. But here's the problem. Again, as we saw with the existing data file, it does not change the name of the file you have above. So it is not test2 or whatever I called it. It's not that. Unfortunately, it's just called JASP because that's what the name of the menu bar says for every save thing. So I think JASP devs would be best served by making this connection between what you call the CSV, whether you are working from an existing data file or starting a new one, because this ends up being a problem because if you have multiple JASP windows open and they all have new data in them. I don't anticipate that being a problem, but you never know, right? You never know. You got to account for all the possibilities, like silly people making videos about them. So just to be aware of that. Now, I could compute a column if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that. Synchronization still says it's off, which is strange because I've generated the data file already. So I wonder if that's an issue. What if we go to save? Yeah, see that saving as computer, if I just did browse and then why is my desktop on here? So test, and we hit save. Now it's test and it tells you where it is, but it's still not synchronizing it. And now I would want to go to find data file. And I'd have to find, I can just search and test. Yes, you may have access to it. Oh man, it's doing that thing. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. You probably just saw a cut, and I'm back here now. JASP had a bit of conniption fit. It did not like that I asked for it to find the file. And it's weird because it asked for access to my Dropbox, which I was going through my downloads, which is a local file folder. So I don't know what happened. All right, well, you can see here that it's in my downloads and I had access to it, and here it is. It's very weird. So synchronization to me does not seem like it is working because I have this and I should be able to click save. So if I were to change this to 3.5 and I clicked on save, it should save that to my downloads, which test.jasp.temp is there, but no temp CSV is. It's just a .jasp file. So it doesn't generate a CSV file for you. It generates a JASP file, which can only be opened in JASP unless you hit save as, and then you would go to browse. I'm not going to do that because I'd probably have to force quit JASP again. But you would pick a folder and save it as a CSV in that. Let me see if it'll do that. See, it says it saves it as a .jasp. So you'd have to go to export data, and then to just choosing downloads, and there you go, CSV. So it generates a .jasp file. It generates a .jasp file. So cheaper. So that is the new data inputter and editor in JASP. I think it's good. I think it's got promise. So take a look at it, use it, find the other bugs so they can make this a really, really good addition to the overall program, because I think it brings it up to Jamovi's level, and then you can have a real solid discussion about what each of them do for the user, how easy they are to use, and what are your end goals and analyses. I think the editor has real promise. It has some bugs. Maybe there needs to be some documentation on how each of these things work. But if you are working from a JSAP file, it will save to that JSAP using the save button there. If you are working from a .csv file, then what it will do is it will try to update that CSV file when you're hitting save, but you may have to save it as a .jasap file to get that synchronization to work a little bit stronger, because you have to hit save for it to work. But we did find that if you are not changing what you're doing in the data file, up here, it's not going to change if you change the name of the file. So just be careful with opening and exporting and saving and knowing which ones you're working with. And that's going to do it for this video. Apologize for all of the quick random cuts. That's what happens with a new version of a program. So if you have any comments, suggestions, questions, or other feedback, please leave that down below. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.